welcome back to the podcast. Today, I want to do a follow up episode on making AI your CFO. After I reflected on some of the takeaways that we shared in the last episode, I wanted to come back to add to that conversation a few of the ways that we think technology is helpful and also ways that we want to make sure you're accessing the right support when needed to make sure that your business is not at risk with bad financial strategy from AI. So let's get started. We are, by the way, very pro technology around here, and we do use AI in a safe way when it comes to doing research and helping clients understand financial concepts in different ways so that we can present it to them. We do not use ChatGPT or other types of AI for running financial analysis yet. We know that it's very advanced in languages, but not as much in numbers as of now. I'm sure that will develop over time. And where I find AI is helpful sometimes is when we're doing more complex formulas and we forgot how to create those, that it could give us some ideas on how to best manipulate it. But this is because we already know what we want the outcome of the formula to be. So we're just asking it to create it and then we're checking it and using it the right way. So, and making sure we're getting the right answer also. So we do use ChatGPT every day. We just use it with a lens of keeping client data private and confidential. We do not upload or disclose any client specific information to the platforms because it's being made public and you don't know who's going to have access to that information. So we do not upload financials. We do not share any sensitive financial information. We just keep it generic, ask about the specific industry, and come up with ways to do research that can help our clients get better. But we also use AI Force to run different scenarios to help us just come up with the outcomes a little bit faster, but we're still putting our expert lens through it to make sure that it makes sense, that it's the right thing for the client, that it fits the industry direction we're going. Because the business is complex. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and AI is only as good as the assumptions that you feed it. And so I think what people don't realize is AI is going to run with whatever you tell it, whether it's right or wrong, whether you forgot to tell it something. So we always use it with guardrails. We say, do this exercise, but don't deviate away from this and this other level of risk, or do not try to promote or produce an outcome that doesn't make sense for this type of industry that would never be achievable. So, when you feed it those assumptions, you're also helping the tool work for you. And so a lot of what I see business owners doing is they're just uploading things and hoping for an answer that will fix all their financial problems. And that is part of the problem, is they're not guiding the AI through what needs to happen for a good outcome to come about. And in order to do that, you need to know what the inputs need to be, not just what you know about your business, but financially speaking, what you're trying to help it understand so that they can give you better advice. Now, what we say is you can run some scenarios through AI. We love when clients use AI. We just ask them, they bring it to us for reviews so that we can then assess for what are the possibilities and what are the downside of some of those scenarios, entertain some of them as strategies that we know can fit the business well. So we are all for utilizing AI in that way. And, making sure there's a professional providing oversight to the work that's being produced. Just like you would a junior person in your company, like you wouldn't just let them run wild and start emailing clients and do whatever they want. You would review their work, sit down and make sure there's revisions done, that there's, proper procedures being followed, that they're not making things up, and that it's really providing the outcomes that you want to see because you have the experience to know what those might be. Now, so let's not forget, and it's very clear, this is nothing that you didn't know already, that AI already creates hallucinations and makes things up. So it's really critical that when it comes to your financial data, you are not relying on made up strategies that don't work. It becomes very convincing. It's going to tell you you're right and everything is great. And that is not going to challenge, like a CFO would, the thinking behind the strategy unless you ask it to do it. So just be careful with what outputs you're getting and how you're deciding to use those or not. And I know you all have critical thinking skills, so you'll be able to filter that and say, oh, that's maybe not for my business. But if you're not trained in finances, it could sound really good and it could make you think that the outcomes are going to be worth it. And maybe it's just leading you in the wrong direction. Now, The one that gets me the most concerned is when clients come to us overly confident about their books being correct. And then when we get in there to review, there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of issues, which is common and that happens. And that is not a problem. It's something we can help with. But that overconfidence, if you're throwing that bad data into AI and asking it to give you advisory and guidance, it's only going to rely on the data you provided that was wrong in the first place. So this is a very scary area because often clients tell me they know their profit, and then when we run the numbers, it's nothing like what they thought. They tell me their books are up to date and ready and clean, and then when we go review them, there's a mess to untangle. So if you're feeding again AI the wrong inputs, you're going to get the wrong outputs. So that's just one part of having accuracy in your data before you get started working with AI is going to save you a lot of headache. And we always say that expert guidance is really valuable because AI can produce good outcomes, but we want to make sure that there's someone guiding that work, someone who knows finance and can help provide that expert perspective and keep AI in check. Remember, AI is a tool. And yes, it's learning every day and getting smarter and better, but that doesn't replace the years of experience and expertise and the pain and the work that you've been through to help grow businesses and get real results. It might just search the web for what's available out there that already exists. So if you're creating something new that doesn't exist, creating new strategies and ways to do things that have not been tested yet, then those would not be possibilities it's going to come back with. On the same vein, when you're working with AI, the assumptions you feed the AI are so critical. It's just no different than creating a financial model. Inputs are you feeding the model to get a certain outcome? And are those assumptions being validated? Do you even know what those assumptions are? Because the AI is just running with it and it's making a bunch of assumptions that you don't know. So unless you're asking for clarity on that and where you can adjust a variable to get a different answer, then you're just at the mercy of whatever assumptions were created, which is a problem, especially if you don't know what they are. Also, when you're getting financial advice, a lot of the lens that we put our clients through is providing them alternatives that feed their both industry themselves and also their personal financial goals, because not everybody wants the same thing. And we shouldn't assume that we all have the same goals. So keeping that extra layer of focus help us better achieve goals for the clients that's in alignment with what they want to get out of their business for the life that they're living, not the other way around. So it's important that you're considering that when you're making plans with AI, that if it doesn't know what those are, it might just tell you, go ahead and invest all your profit back, don't pay yourself, and then you'll have a much bigger business faster. But if you're the breadwinner of your household and you need to provide to pay the mortgage and pay the bills, that might not be realistic. So it's really important that there's that lens. And also for your industry, you might recommend to have a 50% profit margin, but maybe that's not possible in a restaurant business. These are things that are important and nuances that, again, an expert would know to guide the AI through. Consider this, don't do that, don't create an unattainable profit that doesn't exist. Now, we talk a lot about not just creating the plan, and that's what I think AI maybe can help with, the first draft. I always say we can use it for the first draft for many things. We can use it for brainstorming. That's fantastic. But you have to have a defined plan that you're going towards for achieving your goals. And not only a plan, but a plan that you are implementing every day, every month, every quarter, every year. Because those people that make a plan and put it away and never look at it are not going to be as successful or as likely to be successful as someone who's checking the plan, working the plan, taking the action steps to get to those goals. They have a higher likelihood of achieving the goal. Now, we all know in business, there's a lot of curveballs and things that happen, unexpected things. So that will always be the case. But at least having a plan tells you, are you on track or off track? And working the plan is going to help you. So if maybe AI can help you create the goals, break down the actions in order for you to stick with the plan, that could be a really great use of AI. Now, the other one I think is once you develop what are the kind of key performance indicators and how you measure performance in your business, having AI help you automate updating those metrics could be a really great use of that. That's what the tool is for. We have a lot of automations in our business for clients' dashboards to weekly update so that clients know exactly what's happening in their business. They're not guessing, they're actually making decisions with real data, and they're not waiting for us in order to be able to look at their data on an ongoing basis. So this is something that we absolutely love about having tools like AI, help us automate and even maybe send a summary out to you every week on where you're at in business so that you have a dashboard that you're proactively managing throughout the month. So this is a really good way to leverage tools like AI to help create this workflow and automation in your business that doesn't rely on humans. That is after you have defined what is the metric, how do you measure the metric, and what's the cadence that you want this report out to. So make sure you're doing that work first. Now, if you are using AI because it's a cost-effective way and you don't want to invest in a CFO, you're not ready to invest in a CFO, make sure you're at least running the plans by a CFO for review, making sure that they are aligned to the goals that you're trying to achieve in your business, not guiding you in the wrong direction before it's too late. We don't want to see situations where someone was running with her plan and then realize, oh, that's doing the opposite of what I thought it was going to be doing. And that's because, again, unless you have an understanding of finances and financial management, it could lead you into things that sound really good, but ultimately can deplete your cash reserves or can get you in trouble from a payroll perspective, paying too much payroll or not enough. And we just want to make sure we're checking for those risks as we go into that. So having someone just double check the plan and give you any blind spots will be a helpful way to utilize the CFOs. Okay, so my belief is that AI should be used as a tool to save time, to automate, to help explain concepts, but not necessarily to take financial advice from it. And that's just because there's a high risk. Your business is something that doesn't overnight just shifts and changes back to what it was if you have made a few mistakes and decisions that need to be undone. That takes time. And not only that, but it could take money, cash flow wise, money in the bank that's being used to correct some of those mistakes. And because you went cheap in the first place, you get what you pay for. And sometimes going the cheap route doesn't give you the outcomes that you expected. And it depends on how you're using the tool and what your outcomes are from the exercises you're running with AI and how you're thinking through them and how you're applying them. That's going to get you the best results. Obviously, you got in this far with your gut instinct and maybe some data. And now you're having a little help from AI to try to think differently and open up your mind to possibilities, which is great. We love that part of it. We, like I said, use it all the time for those type of purposes. We just do not put our clients' financial health in the hands of AI. And we also don't want to feed any private information to the algorithm. So this is no different. I compare this to getting tax advice on TikTok. Is anyone can just say what they want to about taxes, and then you get in trouble and you're the one having to pay the penalties and deal with the IRS audits. So we just don't want to invite that into our business. So be very careful where you're getting your advice from. Make sure you consult with a professional. This is no different than hiring an attorney for a situation that you have to deal with legally rather than trying to get AI to be your lawyer. That's the kind of level that we want to consider this AI use for financial advice to be at, because it is highly risky if not managed well and guided through it all. So we do believe in expert-led AI use, and that's where I think we can play a role to help support your business and make sure that the advice you are taking and getting and using to run your business is going to get you to the outcomes you expect and the goals that you're trying to achieve, that is serving your purpose of having profit in the business and paying yourself more. And that technology used in this way can really save time and effort. And we believe that it is the future and we will embrace it more and more as more use cases and ways to use AI come about. Always checking, like I always talk about this with all of our clients, is trust but verify. And we're big on verifying because if we don't understand what's going on in the background of those tools and we don't understand how they function, and it's really easy to fall in the trap of taking advice that sounds really good that might not be actually ultimately helping your business. And so just be careful out there. Make sure you use it the right way. Make sure you check with some experts to ensure your plan is working for what you want to achieve. And also the thing I noticed when using AI with clients that brought the plans to us to review is that there is a gap between how to implement things and how to get to the outcomes that you want to achieve. And this is where someone with expertise can talk to you about what you're dealing with, how you want to see things shape up, and come up with an action step that helps you get to that plan in reality, and even brainstorms beyond what the AI is providing you some alternatives and ideas on how to best use the outcomes. Again, assuming the inputs were good, then the outcomes should be, even better, that you can use to brainstorm ideas and come up with new pathways for your business to grow. Also, make sure you are being mindful of how you're using the tool and what guardrails and assumptions you're allowing the tool to utilize in order to provide you guidance, and make sure that those align with your business and your expectations. I think tools will continue to improve and get better over time. And so we might do, a follow-up episode in the future where we're talking about the integration of AI with the work that we do and how we do it, and how it has benefit clients achieve bigger, better, bolder results faster. I know everybody is very excited about replacing all their employees with AI because it's cheaper and they don't have sick time and they don't take vacation and so on. But I think that in the era of technology, they will always be place for human contact and interaction in business. And those businesses that focus on that human side of things will always be able to compete with technology that, maybe people are not as eager to embrace or have or be part of. I know often when I get contacted by robocalls or I get on chats that are AI driven, it just feels really cold and uninviting. And as a customer, I feel that if that's what the brand is putting out there, it's really important to consider that in your business. So how are you using AI to interact with your potential clients and customers? And also how you use it inside your business from a privacy security perspective. So in any case, we're all about technology. We love it if used securely and well managed. And we will be testing some more AI ways that we can help clients, thrive in their business and be better at finances. And I encourage you to do the same by using some critical thinking and safety as you're going through your journey of exploration with AI. Let me know in the comments if this episode resonated with you, if you have any questions about AI use in finance, and how we are always researching new ways that we can utilize technology to improve what we do for our clients and service them better than we could by saving time and effort without cutting corners. And that's really what this is about. So thank you for being here today. If you're looking for a fractional CFO, make sure you book a call on our website, wealthworthwithin.com. If not, thank you for being here, and until next episode.